Sonic's Green Hills Adventures Season 1 Chapter 22, A Rescue Mission Part 2. Then Sonic rose from the ground and started floating in the air, as his irises and pupils disappeared, all the while he was laughing like a madman.
How dare you insult my family? You will pay for that.
Dark Sonic screamed in a terrifying psychotic voice.
Sonic, what's happening to you?
Jessica asked fearfully as she started to back away.
Hey, what are still doing, you trespassing brat? Get her out of my sight. Do with her what you will, I don't care.
Commander Jonathan demanded of the remaining soldiers in the room. Then they grabbed Jessica harshly and started to pull her away. However, Dark Sonic got in there.
You stay away from her. Let go of her right now.
Dark Sonic demanded very aggressively, so out of fear for their lives, they let Jessica go and sprinted out of the room as fast as they could. Then Dark Sonic looked over at Commander Jonathan with a death glare as he started to float over to him. Meanwhile, Jessica took out her phone and dialed Marina's number.
Hey, Jessica, what's going on in there?
Marina asked curiously.
Marina, I am freaking out. You need to get to the commander's office right now. Something's wrong with Sonic.
Jessica replied hysterically, but still very clearly.
Also, I'm homing my location through Sonic's phone so you can find us.
Jessica added quickly before hanging up. Then Marina pulled up her Find My Phone app.
Oh my gosh, just follow me now. Something is wrong with Sonic.
Marina said as she pushed past the guards, even though they were completely confused. They did as she asked without a second thought. Back in Commander Jonathan's office, Dark Sonic was still going towards the commander.
Sonic, wait. Shida still needs help.
Jessica exclaimed seriously with concern in her eyes.
I'll be right back. I need to save my friend, and don't dare harm Jessica or else you will suffer for it.
Dark Sonic said harshly and flew out of the room at top speed. Shadow's point of view.
I was still being dragged farther away from my new friends when something came flying towards us at high speeds. What the AI said as it came to a halt in front of me. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was Sonic, and yet it wasn't Sonic. Sonic, is that you? What happened? I asked fearfully, for I didn't know what to think. His fur was as dark as the night sky. His quills were pointing upward as dark lightning coursed through them, and his eyes were glowing a blinding white light, no pupils nor irises whatsoever. Something wasn't right, and I could just feel and see the anger radiating from him.
Let Shadow go?
Sonic demanded aggressively as some sort of dark ball of lighting formed in his hand. The soldiers immediately let go of me and ran off, and the ball of dark lighting dissolved from Sonic's hand. Sonic, are you okay? What happened to you? Can you hear me? Asked as I slowly and cautiously approached him.
Come on, we need to get back to Jessica.
Sonic said as he flew back towards Commander Jonathan's office without another word. Sonic, wait, please snap out of whatever this is, you're scaring me. I said once I got in his way, and grabbing him by the shoulders as tears fell from my eyes.
Shadow,
Sonic said shakily and then hunched over, holding his head in pain. It was like he was fighting for control from some malevolent entity for his mind. Sonic, are you all right? Please come back to me. I screamed in sorrow, not knowing how else to help him. I've never seen anything like this. Then I saw some people running towards us, and they weren't gun soldiers. That's when Sonic stopped screaming in pain as he looked up and over at them dizzily as he turned back to normal.
You donut to Dad? Retso, Mom.
Sonic said weakly and dizzily as he swayed back and forth dizzily too. That was right before collapsing, most likely due to that stupid serum, and passed out.
Tom's point of view.
We found Jessica easily and she was okay. Like where Sonic asked for full seat.
He went to help Shida, but he didn't look Nurik like himself at all. I don't know what's going on with him.
Jessica replied, "Do you know where he went?" I asked. "Seriously?"
Yeah, they went down that hole on the left.
Jessica said quietly, for I could see whatever was happening to Sonic tear through her.
Well, come on, guys. He clearly needs our help.
Crystal said as she was already heading towards the alley. So then we were after her. We finally found Sonic, and when I saw horrified me, Sonic looked like a demented version of himself. However, the change when he saw us. He looked at us dizzily as he called out mine and Maddie's names as his fur and eyes returned to normal and passed out. Sonic and Maddie said in unison as we all ran over to him. That's when I noticed that another anthropomorphic hedgehog next to Sonic, who looked as worried as we did. "Wait, who are you?" I asked curiously.
I'm Shadow the Hedgehog in the ultimate life form. So you must be Tom White. It's a pleasure to finally meet you all.
Chad replied with a smile on his muzzle. "Hey, I'm Tom, and I never thought that there were any other people like Sonic here on Earth," I said in astonishment.
That's what I thought too until Sonic arrived here. But what do we do now? I mean, we still need to clear our names.
Chad asked me with fearfully serious eyes. However, before I could answer, Sonic woke up and our attention turned back to him. "Sonic, are you okay?" I asked gently.
Mommy? Daddy?
Sonic exclaimed as he hugged me and sobbed uncontrollably in my arms.
What happened? The last thing I remember before waking up here is my changing color. A feeling of a kind of rage different from the kind that triggers my electrical lightning powers. And I could feel my legs again, but now they're back to the state of where I can't feel them all over again. I was so scared. I love you guys so much.
Sonic said frantically before sobbing again and trembling like a leaf. "I don't know if Sonic will be getting you and Chad home today, I promise," I said softly as I hugged him back to calm him down. However, for some reason he didn't, and he was actually going into hysterics. Sonic and you know, Sonic as he continued to cry.
Maddie's point of view.
I couldn't bear to see Sonic like this, so my mama bear instincts kicked in. "Who did this to my baby?" I said, full of anger.
Commander Jonathan did this. He's the reason Sonic was brought here in the first place.
Shadow replied with anger on his face as well. "Well, that's it. Time for us to really talk to him," I said as I started to march back to that office. I could hear the others not too far behind me, especially Tom, Marina, and Shadow, who were walking on either side of me. I could see that Sonic was still inconsolable in Tom's arms. "Don't worry, sweetie. I'm gonna make sure he remembers what I have to say to him for the rest of his life," I told Sonic reassuringly and kissed him on his forehead.
Thanks, Pretzel Mommy.
Sonic said hoarsely with a small sad smile on his muzzle.
But what happened to me? Because whatever it was, I have no memory of it.
Sonic asked with fear in his eyes.
Well, after what you remembered, you rose from the ground and began floating in the air. Your quills pointed upward and your erase and pupils disappeared. Then you started laughing like a madman. When you spoke to the commander, your voice was aggressive and psychotic. It was absolutely terrifying. Then when the commander noticed that I was still there, he ordered some soldiers to get me out of his sight in a disgusted tone, not caring what the soldiers would do to me afterward. So you got in their way and yelled at them to release me. Out of fear they did. Then they left as fast as they could. That's when I called the others to get in here and help. Then I saw you fleeing towards the commander full of rage. Then I remembered Shadow needed you, so I told you that. Then you went straight to go find Shadow. That's as far as I know. So what about you, Shadow? Do you have anything to add to that?
Jessica explained shakily.
Yes, Sonic. You pretty much did the same to get the soldiers to release me. However, you got more intense. You threatened the soldiers with this ball of dark lighting that was forming in your hand. Luckily, they left me alone. Then you started flying back to the office without truly acknowledging me, other than to follow you. I tried to snap you out of it and you seemed to begin fighting against whatever triggers that some form, I guess. But the final thing he needed was seeing you guys apparently.
Shadow explained to us very seriously. Then something Sonic told us earlier popped in my head and it concerned me greatly. Wait, Sonic, you said you couldn't feel your legs until whatever this was happened to you. Oh, what were you talking about when you said that? What did they do to you, Sonic? I asked in a panic and needing to know what was going on with my son. Then Sonic burst into another round of tears, but for some reason this time
They injected me with an experimental serum. They said I was the perfect candidate. Now my speed is neutralized.
Sonic replied, sounding completely distraught. This broke my heart and fueled my rage at Gun 4. Not only what they did physically, but also what they mentally and emotionally put my child through.
Also, they beat me up earlier today just for talking to Shido.
Sonic added through his tears. This made us all gasp in horror at both things he went through, when added together like that. Oh Sonic, my poor baby, I'm not gonna let them hear the end of it from me when I get in there, I declared with deadly seriousness.
Shadow's point of view.
As we walked the rest of the way, we didn't say another word as we continued to hear Sonic sobbing. I knew this affected him terribly, but I didn't realize just the extent until this moment as we were walking back to Commander Jonathan's office. It was absolutely unbearable. Finally, a few minutes later, we made it to the office. Maddie had her death glare ready to show to Commander Jonathan. Oh boy, if looks could kill, he'd be dead in 10 seconds. Then Maddie barged into the office with us right behind her. Then Tom and Maddie ran straight up to Commander Jonathan.
You, how dare you hurt our son? Just look at what your actions have done to this innocent child.
Maddie screamed as hot angry tears fell down her face. Then I realized he was still shaken up, holding on to Tom for dear life, and was still a crying mess. It was awful to see Sonic in such a vulnerable, frail state as this.
You traumatized him more than he already was, thanks to Dr. Robanek and the ones who forced him from his home planet. He's shook down to his core because of the way you treated my son. You went out with it.
Tom added, sounding even more furious than Maddie did while holding Sonic closer to him protectively, and Commander Jonathan looked at Sonic in disgust.
Well, what about it? What is your point?
Commander Jonathan asked with absolutely no remorse in his voice and being as stubborn as ever.
You practically took away the very thing he spent his first 13 years trying so hard to protect, and you hurt him mentally, physically, and emotionally. You will give us the antidote and allow us to walk away. Also, we're taking Shadow with us.
Maddie replied darkly.
Or else what?
Commander Jonathan asked us challengingly. Suddenly Sonic stopped crying and started growling like a wild feral animal. Sonic, what's wrong? I asked nervously.
It's happening again. Someone please make it stop.
Sonic replied with fearful tears, even though his voice sounded more like an angry guy crying.
Oh, what did I trigger you?
Commander Jonathan asked in a condescending and patronizing manner. That's when I got officially ticked off and got a chaos spear ready in one hand while the other grabbed Commander Jonathan's uniform collar. You shut your stupid big mouth, I threatened angrily. However, I stopped him from making Sonic feel worse. Too late. Sonic's fur was once again blackish blue. No, Sonic, you have to fight it. The commander's words mean nothing. Don't you see, this is what he wants, I told Sonic seriously. Then Sonic turned back to normal. Then I turned my attention back on Commander Jonathan. Now enough games. All we want is to leave this place and have a normal life. The only time we'll mean any harm is out of self-defense and survival instincts. We're not evil monsters here, unlike you. We want to protect humanity. Please just help us clear our names. Give Sonic the antidote. Then we'll leave in peace. I said sincerely.
Fine, however, when it comes to clearing your names, I don't have the authority. You'll have to talk to the president for that. I'll set up a meeting for you to see him tomorrow afternoon. As for Sonic's antidote, I'm afraid we don't have it. It's impossible to make one for something that's still experimental, but I will let you go freely. I won't stop you.
Commander Jonathan replied in defeat. Actually, I don't think we can categorize it as experimental anymore. Besides, what were you intending it to do to Sonic? Because it took away his speed, he can't feel his legs. So it pretty much took away his ability to use his legs, I explained to him with folded arms.
Oh, really? That's what it did? Then you're absolutely right. I'll get to working on that antidote right away. However, other than your meeting with the president tomorrow, you'll need to stay in Washington, D.C. until I have it ready so that I can give it to him as soon as possible.
Commander Jonathan said in relief. Great, but how long will it take approximately? I asked very seriously.
A week at most.
Commander Jonathan told us reassuringly.
Well, then let's get back to the hotel.
Marina said happily. Then we left